Welcome to my Phase 4 Mage guide for Season of Discovery. In this guide, we'll be going over everything you need to know to get you ready for those new raids. For specs, we have the Fire build as well as the Frost build. For the Frost talents and runes, we're going to go all the way down into Winter's Chill, making sure that we pick up Cold Snap along the way. And for the Fire tree, we're going to make sure we pick up Scorch, Ignite, and Pyroblast. There's a couple ways you can build this out, but I've gotten this build to sim the highest. For the Fire talents and runes, we're going to use this talent tree. We're going to pick up Combustion, Improve Scorch, Pyroblast, and Ignite. And then in the Frost tree, we're going to make sure we pick up Cold Snap for that double Icy Veins. For the runes, you're going to go Hot Streak, Burnout, Balefire Bolt, Living Bomb, Overheat, Spell Power, Icy Veins, Frostfire Bolt, and for the ring runes, we're going to go Frost Specialization as well as the Fire Specialization. This will give you 6% hit in both of these magic schools. For gear, I will leave a link to these 60 upgrades in the description below. They contain both pre-raid bis and bis for both Fire and Frost, as well as items you can pick up along the way. If any of these items change in the future, I'll be sure to update these 60 upgrades. Just check the pinned comments on this video, and if you have any other questions regarding the gearing process, be sure to leave them in the comments below. I'd be happy to answer your questions. For macros and weak auras, I'll leave a link to my Discord that contains all of my stuff that I use currently for Season of Discovery as well as Classic Era, and anything I add in the future, I'll be sure to share that in my Discord as well. Most importantly, I want to share this macro with you guys. It's very important that you make at least one of these CQS macros. What it allows you to do is press all of your cooldowns at once, and then it allows you to keep continuing that primary rotation. So what it will look like is you press this button and it will pop all of your CDs at once and then continue casting Balefire Bolt. All you have to do to change this macro around is just change where it says cast Balefire Bolt into whatever spell that you're using currently. The other macro I like using a lot is the Mana Gem macro. It operates the same exact way and allows you to keep casting that primary spell. For rotation, it's going to look something like this. Your opener, you're going to pre-cast a Balefire Bolt, followed by stacking Scorch 5 times. For the Frost Mages, you're just going to continue casting Balefire Bolt after pre-casting it, of course. The reason for this is you're the only one that can apply Winter's Chill, so it's optimal that you try to put this up as quickly as possible. Other than casting Combustion, the Frost Mage is going to follow the same rotation as the Fire Mage. I will point out that the Frost Mage should probably be the one reapplying the Scorch debuff, since the Fire Mages are going to be simming a lot higher, and having them reapply it instead of casting their primary spell is going to make them lose a little bit of DPS. It's nothing major, but in terms of min-maxing, you'll probably want to do that. So the whole nuance to this spec is using your Fire Blast to guarantee a Hot Streak proc. The way this works is Overheat makes your Fire Blast always crit, so the way you play around this is you wait until you see your Heating Up proc come up from your weak aura. Here's what it looks like. Once you see this, you want to cast your Fire Blast, and then it will guarantee a Hot Streak proc. You always want to finish your cast before casting the Pyroblast, since you'll have a bunch of travel time and you won't overlap your crits. At the moment, that seems to be creating much more value than just using your Fire Blast on CD. If this is to change, I'll update it in the pinned comments below. After your opener, you're going to follow this filler rotation of spamming Balefire Bolt and getting it up to 9 stacks. At the 3rd stack, pop all of your cooldowns except for Combustion. Of course, keep spending your Fire Blasts on Heating Up procs, that way you can convert them into Hot Streak procs for those instant Pyroblasts. Use any mana cooldowns or any other CDs as they come up, of course. And then on your 7th Balefire Bolt, this is when you're going to pop Combustion to try to get the maximum amount of value from it. Once you get to your 9th stack of Balefire Bolt, you have to drop your debuff stacks or that 10th cast will kill your character. To drop your debuff stacks, you simply are going to start casting Frostfire Bolt instead, and then following the same rotation as we did earlier. That's pretty much it. The whole goal of casting Frostfire Bolt is to wait until your Balefire debuff falls off, and then you rinse and repeat and do the same rotation again, stacking your Balefire Bolt up to 9 times. And then when you get to the end of the fight, you're going to use your Fire Blast at the very end if you know that your Balefire Bolt or your Frostfire Bolt will not hit the boss in time. Alternatively, you can just not cast a Balefire Bolt here maybe, and use a Scorch since it has no travel time. It'll just guarantee a little bit of extra damage. For your AoE and multi-target rotation, you're going to cast Living Bomb on any target you're going to get full duration on, casting 1 Flame Strike if you know the targets aren't going to move and they're going to stay in that stacked spot. Followed that, you're going to spam Arcane Explosion and then reapplying Living Bomb if necessary. And of course, if you have Blast Wave, try to use that on cooldown. And I want to make an argument that you probably swap Icy Veins for Living Flame on certain encounters. The encounters that come to mind are multi-target fights like Sulfuron, Lucifron, and Gehennas. Assuming they are all going to be stacked up and your Living Flame will hit all of the adds, this can be a huge difference instead of using Icy Veins. For consumes, we're going to use major mana potions as well as demonic runes. You can also pick up dark runes. They do the same thing, and you can get these out of Skulloments. They do not share a cooldown with your mana pots, so they're very nice in that aspect. However, you should know that they do share a cooldown with your mana gem. For flask, we'll use the Flask of Supreme Power. For weapon imbues, we'll use the Lesser Wizard Oil, and as far as I know, the Wizard Oil is still not in the game. If it is, however, be sure to use that instead. For food buffs, we'll use the Run Tub Tuber. This recipe comes from Dire Maul East. For elixirs, we'll use the Greater Arcane Elixir, the Firepower Elixir, the Frostpower Elixir, and then the Mage Blood Potion if you want a bit of MP5. The Greater Firepower Elixir comes into the game during AQ40. If it's in the game, however, make sure that you're using that instead. For miscellaneous buffs, we can now use the Blasted Land buff for an extra 25 int. If you have a profession consumable like enchanting sigils, make sure that you're using that, and if you're an alchemist, make sure you're using the potions as well. The rest of this kind of goes without saying, but make sure that you have all of your debuffs in the raid and you're tracking them efficiently. Make sure that you bring all the world buffs you can possibly bring, and make sure that you're fully buffed before the pulls. And if you have any PIs or innervates assigned to you, make sure you have a whisper macro to get those efficiently. And that's about it for this video. If this video helped, be sure to like and subscribe. It helps me out so much. If you have any questions, be sure to leave them in the comments below. I'd be happy to answer your questions. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.